for tuning in to the Illuminations Podcast. We love having you here. It is our mission to be a beacon of light on your journey towards conscious and mindful living. In our weekly episode, we bring you inspiring change makers in the field of spirituality, healing, personal growth, and wellness who share their insight and expertise so you can navigate your way to a happier, healthier, and more purposeful life. Welcome to another episode of the Illuminations World Podcast. My name is Sonia and I am your host. On the Illuminations World Podcast, we explore holistic healing, spiritual growth, and transformation. And in today's episode, we're diving into one of the most frustrating challenges on the healing journey. Why do so many of us feel stuck in spite of all the workshops and all the healing sessions that we undergo? Why do so many of us feel that in spite of doing all of this, transformation feels so far away? To help us uncover the hidden roots of these patterns, we're joined by a very special guest by the name of Nada Rassoul, who is an expert in ancient healing wisdom, a shamanic practitioner, and a family constellation practitioner. Nada brings her years of experience in guiding individuals through deep emotional and ancestral healing, helping them to uncover their inner truth and break free from these inherited cycles of trauma and rebellion. She will also be exploring why some people unconsciously punish themselves to make their parents suffer, how collective trauma impacts our lives today, and what we can finally do to feel the change that we've been searching for. So whether you're seeking clarity, whether you're on your own emotional healing journey, or if you're curious about the deeper forces shaping your emotions, this episode will resonate deeply with you. So let's begin. So Nada, thank you so much for being on the Illuminations Podcast with us today. So I wanted to ask you, as a shamanic healer and a family constellation practitioner, what drew you on this journey? Because I know that everybody has a personal story, and I'd firstly love to hear yours.
It started a very long time ago. My healing journey, I was always wondering, why do we carry so much pain? Why am I someone that feels so many emotions that are not necessarily a reflection of what's going on in my life? And it culminated in a massive panic attack about 15, 20 years ago. And I went to my first yoga class and I realized I had been holding my breath for about 30 years. And then everything started to unfizzle, become undone after that. And it was one thing after another with the breathing, the letting go, the emotions, that I started to realize that I had inherited emotional pain, emotional patterns, victim mentality, so many things from the lineage that I come from, but I wasn't aware of that. And then I started doing the family constellations and had a lot of shamanic healings done on me and everything. And we're here today.
Wow. But was there any specific sort of trigger that caused it? Or was it just a panic attack, or was there
it was many little tiny aha moments of who am I really? You're born into a family, you're born into a region, a culture, a country, and your identity fizzles out. So it was this constant question of, but who am I other than the script I was given? And then all of that culminated in the panic attack because I was just doing and playing roles that weren't necessarily even mine to play. Right. Carried a lot of pain and made a lot of contracts with my family that weren't really serving me out of love and loyalty. Right. To serve the system, to serve the culture, to serve the region, to serve the country.
And so how did you actually begin your healing journey? Because for most people watching this, they're probably going through some sort of relationship issue, or maybe they're not able to deal with the trauma or with everything that's happening in the world right now. What is that first step to begin that healing journey? And, of course, we see so many people who've, done so many workshops and courses and healing sessions, and yet they don't feel the change that you probably felt. So why is that? And what can someone do to sort of create that, not instant change, but that deep feeling that they've actually really changed?
So most people that show up to therapy and come to the spaces that we're in, they've tried quite a few things and they're feeling stuck. So they come to us, to get this insight, save me, do something that would make me feel better.
Right.
But
it's almost like a blue pill. Sorry.
It's like a blue pill. It's like, and we're not saviors. We just help them access whatever it is in them and everybody has it in them to feel and the wisdom and all of that. I would say, first of all, for those of people that go to many workshops and still don't feel, the question to ask themselves is, did I have permission to feel in my family of origin? Was feeling something that was modeled to me? Or was I someone that I was made fun of when I cried? And of course, it's different for men and women. Men that get raised in specific cultures are not allowed to feel. So beyond that, did I have permission to feel? Post-feeling, when we feel, who am I going to be after I feel? And most people are scared of that. No one knows that when they come to these rooms, this space, this sacred, safe space to feel, to unpack, to get to know themselves, they have no idea that it's going to impact and change their life forever. And that entail will change their relationships forever. Will they stay with the same partner they had picked? Will they crave a different partner? Will they even see members of their family? No one tells you that.
Yeah, but I think that's why the healing journey is so scary for so many people.
Absolutely.
Because it requires you to do a complete 180 of your life. And,
absolutely.
We always know that, if one partner is healing or on that journey, and then there's the other partner who's kind of in those old limiting belief systems and values, there isn't a resonance. And because there isn't a resonance, you often find that people completely, breaking the reality that they're currently in, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a job, whether it's their upbringing or traditions that they've followed for so many years. And, I also think that people, of course, on the healing journey are very aware that their past, or their present rather, is a result of their past. But sometimes I feel a lot of people are like, I don't want to keep going back into the past because it takes away from the present moment. So how would you address that? Because as a clinical hypnotherapist, I've done years of hypnotherapy and regression healing and healing my inner child and healing my collective trauma and healing my past life. But you get to a certain point, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners also feel that way. How much more do I need to keep going back into the trauma, rather than just what can I do apart from going back into the past and reliving that trauma or re-experiencing the trauma? What can I do in the present that would kind of help me move on and create that change? If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when they do come to a family constellation session, even if it's one-on-one or in a group session, they get to see a map out of their family dynamics. And, not one session, maybe quite a few. Once they are aware of what's happening, the dynamics they may have inherited from their family, then they can make a choice. Then they can pay tribute, they can honor the ancestors, they can honor their parents with their limited knowledge or limited ways of approaching things. And they can say a sentence, which we use a lot in the sessions. Thank you for showing me what didn't work. Thank you for surviving your life. Thank you for surviving for me to be here. I will take that and do something great with my life in honor of you. So when someone, if they have a parent that's abusive or addictions, or, this parent is showing the child what doesn't work. And so I will take it and I will go and do something great with my life in honor of you, your pain, what you have suffered. So that's transforming it, that's reframing it, that's changing the narrative.
And how would you break down in a very simple and easy terms for our listeners to understand what is ancestral healing, like very simply? Because I know a lot of skeptics would say, well, my ancestor who was living 200 years ago has nothing really to do with me. How do we witness that impact of that trauma that they experienced so many generations ago in our current health, career, or relationships, or experience with money, for example?
I would start with the family of origin. I would start with your parents. I wouldn't even go that far. I would start with what roles were given to you when you were born. Were you given permission to be the child, or did you have to parent your parent? I would start with what was modeled to you in your family of origin. How was the relationship with money? Did your father come from scarcity, and therefore you've got that scarcity mentality, that fear so you don't even give yourself permission to enjoy money in abundance? Did your mother bless you to go out in the world and live your life, or did she always want you to come back? Was your father around long enough, or did you have to step in the place of being the partner for your mother that your father had left that gap?
Mm-hmm.
Is there room for you to even have a partner in your life? So I would even start with the basics, which is what we witness with people. The family of origin, what was modeled to you? Do you have permission to even go and be abundant? And if you don't, then we address that. Then we say sentences. What are you carrying on behalf of your family out of love and loyalty?
Right.
Are you living your life, or are you living someone else's life? A script that was handed down to you.
You mentioned to me the other day, we were having a conversation, and you say that a lot of us make our parents suffer by going through pain ourselves. And when our parents watch us go through this pain, we indirectly are trying to punish them for everything that, they've done to us in an unconscious way. Can you just shed a bit more light to this? Because I think people would be really interested to understand how we unconsciously sabotage our lives to just basically hit back at our parents.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a lot of people that grew up in a home or in an environment where it was very suppressed. They weren't able to feel, and all the rest of it, perhaps abuse, trauma, everybody has their story. And the rebel is the one that says, I will do anything to punish you, even if it costs me my life, which is the book by Stephen Hausner. And that child is in constant cycle of rage, frustration, anger towards the parents, that they choose themselves to sabotage. And they go into dynamics that are destructive to themselves. How would I ask this person or bring awareness to them? I would say, create space to feel your feelings. Because maybe they never were modeled to feel their feelings. And this person is the one that addresses the elephant in the room, addresses the dynamics that were not looked at, addresses the avoidance in the parents from feelings.
Right.
This is the one that just says, I'm gonna name it.
Yeah.
And in a way, they're doing a service, but they're sabotaging themselves at the same time.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, because in my family, especially with my dad, I was a bit of the rebel, because he didn't want me to get into the healing space. And he was just like, I spent so much money on your education, and now you're going ahead and becoming a quack. And so we went through a lot of conflict for the first couple of years when I got into the healing space, which is around the age of 23 to 28, And so I always tried to prove, to him that I was capable, I was independent, I could do everything on my own. But even when he passed away, and our relationship ended up being amazing after, and he was really proud that I actually took the courage to, follow my own path. But then later on, even when he passed, I still felt I was trying to prove to the world or validate my existence in, either through my work or either through, so many ways. And that need of proving created a lot of pain. So it's not just creating that pain for my parents, it was also creating that pain for me. So I can kind of relate to what you're basically saying.
Absolutely.
So.
And also to go and do a family constellation session where you get to see your ancestors beyond the parents, beyond the narrative that the parents had given you, to pay homage to the ancestors, to bow to them, to see that you're part of something much bigger.
Yeah.
And perhaps as well, when it feels very strong to rebel, it may be that you are in an entanglement with the women from your lineage that needed to rebel but did not have the space. We live in a time now where women can do so much, just as much as men can do. And so we have the freedom. So when something feels consuming and it's not really even, you feel like it may not be mine, but I'm really overtaken by it, that's an entanglement with the women from your ancestors' lineage that want you to break free and rebel against the system.
They were so suppressed. And the power, they say, was in ancient times was always with the women, and they were stripped away from that power. And then throughout generations, it's now we're trying to get that power back. And I think this time in history more than any other time, I think women are just blossoming and coming
Absolutely.
out of that, sort of boundaries that they were basically.
Absolutely. They're getting back in touch with their true nature, with their fluidity, with their healer archetypes, with their nurturing, mothering archetypes, in a safe space.
Yeah, that's important, a safe space. And so what are some of, let's say I've done a couple of healing sessions with you, or journey of healing sessions with you. I've attended workshops on family constellations, on energy healing, on shamanic practices and journeying. What would some of how do I know that I've changed? What are some of the signs in my external reality that would give me sort of that feeling or that internal sort of emotion that I would feel that I know that things have changed or shifted, both internally and externally, if that makes sense?
So what would change in you is you would start to feel more like your true self. That may be a foreign concept because most people don't know who they are.
It's so unknown to them.
It's unknown to them. You will start to feel a trust in your inner compass. Mm-hmm. So when you become more grounded, when there is a lot happening on the outside, it doesn't impact you as much.
Yeah.
So you witness a drama, you're in a family context, you witness something, you realize that has nothing to do with me. It didn't start with me. It started a long time ago. I can't heal it.
Right.
So I will sit here, hold compassion, love, empathy, but it doesn't impact me. And then what do I want to do? How can I contribute? What legacy do I want to put? These questions only come through once that unstable shakiness starts to go away, once you feel a lot more whole.
And so there's just more flow in your life.
More flow.
Rather than trying to force things.
More trust in your choices.
Right.
More trust in your own life unfolding. And that happens when you can bear guilt. So what does bear guilt mean? So you were mentioning that people go to lots of workshops, but they don't actually improve. A lot of people want to stay in innocence. And that would entail, I'm a victim of my circumstances. But you can be a non-victim of your circumstances. You bared guilt by going against the family script and coming into this world with your father, and then everything transformed. And as an adult, we have to bear guilt. As an adult, when you say to a child, no, the child is upset, that's bearing guilt because you know what's best for them. Mm-hmm. And so, can I bear guilt? By going off on my own journey, by going slightly off script, off piste, as they say.
And do you feel that everybody needs sort of healing and therapy sessions? Because, I've also met so many people, who seem to be very grounded, who seem to have everything going right in their lives, who don't really give too much attention to what happened in the past, or they're not really exploring their inner sort of compass. What would you feel like? Would you feel that everybody needs to do these healing sessions and therapy sessions, or is there another way to heal? Is there just another way? Or is it just willpower that makes people kind of overcome their obstacles from their past?
I think it's a combination of many things. We're all a product of our own story, and we're all each unique. So depending on what kind of modeling this person had, what kind of love, support, holding, I believe in you, go do it. You've got permission to go live your life. You don't have to stay here. Mm. So people like that don't necessarily need to show up in our spaces.
Right.
But what kind of lifestyle are they leading? And that's a completely different question. Right. What kind of breath work do they do? How do they exercise? What kind of food do they eat? What kind of whole inner engineering do they have within themselves?
Absolutely. I think it's in the first 7 years of your life that if those years, were healthy and safe, I feel that has so much of a positive impact on your current experiences of your lives.
Absolutely. And then you have very successful people that just keep going. That's an indication they don't want to feel. Very successful in life, very financially successful. Right. But have you had space to feel? Don't want to feel, I'm just going to keep going. At some point, it will catch up.
Until you have a breakdown. And then
Until you have a breakdown, or you have a burnout.
Yeah.
And you have some people, That's I'm not going to say too much.
And who's been your inspiration in your journey in terms of authors, speakers, teachers, books that you've read?
Oh gosh. One of my first books that I read is The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Classic. So Robin Sharma, A New Earth was one of the next ones. And then it started drifting into soul work, Soul Portion Retrievals by Sandra Ingerman. I can't remember. So many books, incredible books, Louise Hay.
Yeah.
Can't remember, Abraham Hicks. It's a whole thing. Yeah. Other than Bert Hellinger, Stephen Hausner, people in my field of work, acknowledging what is and Return to Love, and all of those books. And what does Family Constellations really do? It bridges where things were broken. It looks at what was not looked at. And most of our ancestors may have had to survive, awful things for us to be here. So it's paying respect. Thank you for surviving what you had to survive so I could be here.
And how has that impacted your role as a mother, as a wife, in your family, like your healing journey? Because that must have been pretty intense for your family, probably in the beginning.
Yes, it was. It was actually pretty intense. How is it? It's changed me, so I'm not as reactive. I'm not projecting on my partner to give me things that were not given to me when I was younger. And when I'm raising my children, I'm very aware of what they may be carrying for myself and my husband. And I free them, you don't have to carry that. Leave that here, leave that in this generation. So I'm aware of a lot of dynamics that play out. Some things I can't save them from. Whoever they're outwardly loyal to, they will be inwardly loyal to, and they will act it out in their own journey. But I'm aware to just free them, go. I'm your support. I will hold the space for you. I trust you. I trust your journey. I trust your capabilities. I may have not been able to do that had I not been down this path for the past 15 years. So I feel that I have grown. I am grounded. I'm connected to the ancestors. I'm a force of energy that's just like, okay, I can hold you.
Yeah. We have a very lucky family then.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's a daily practice that you recommend for people to reconnect with their feelings and step into true transformation if they're not ready to see a practitioner like yourself?
Well, I'll come from a constellations point of view. From a constellations point of view, ask yourself, what role am I playing in my family of origin? So, or what roles were handed down to me that I don't necessarily need to play? So if you were the second child of the family, I am. How can I solidify that position in my family and not be a mother to my mother out of love and loyalty because that gap was there, not step into partner to my father, or not be a surrogate mother to my younger siblings? So people are not aware of that. Like I said, if someone's father was not around and the son had to step up and step in the place of being kind of like a partner to his mother, then there was a father missing. So how can I just take my rightful place in my family? And by saying rightful place, second child, younger child, you'll feel a sense of ease, you'll feel a belonging, you won't feel so stretched out, you won't feel so heavy. And how can I kind of resign from the other roles? And that would entail bearing guilt. How can I say, no, I'm not doing that role anymore? It wasn't really mine to play in the first place. That's one thing I would just get people to come into awareness with. And check in with yourself. If I was going to just give anything to anyone, check in. How am I breathing? Why am I being reactive? What am I projecting on someone else? Most people don't know their needs. In a lot of these sessions, we psychoeducate clients to even figure out what their needs are. What do you need right now? Maybe I need 2 months of sleep. Very basic.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to change my food. Maybe I need to do an hour of walking every day. Maybe I need to just breathe. I walked into my first yoga class and I realized I was holding my breath for 30 years. Imagine that. Yeah. So most people are not aware of that. They're just on autopilot all the time. Wake up, get up, do.
Yeah.
Check in, slow down. breathe.
So important.
It's very basic.
Everything, actually.
It's very basic.
Amazing. So any last thoughts, inspiration, quotes that you want to leave our listeners with? Advice?
A lot of what we do is out of love and loyalty. So when you are in a space where you feel stuck, you're probably out of love and loyalty. You're doing it. You're not a bad person. And judging our parents, judging the ancestors, they did the best they could with what they had available to them at the time.
Absolutely. That requires both awareness and wisdom
Absolutely.
to come to that.
And when you're an adult, so you're someone, our age and a bit younger, how can I take responsibility for my own journey? How can I mother myself?
Absolutely.
It's a level of awareness.
Yeah, because we can blame our past, but then you see so many renowned, inspiring, motivational speakers, anybody in sports who's achieved so much. They've not exactly had the easiest childhood themselves, but it's how you transcend your pain into power.
Absolutely.
That I think really makes the difference. So thank you so much. It's been such an inspiring talk.
Thank you.
And if people want to find you, how would they be able to do that?
So I have a page on Instagram, Solo de Nada, or email solodenada@gmail.com, or they can contact you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonia.
Here.
Thank you for
Super
having
grateful.
me.
Super
Thank
grateful.
you.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in to another episode of the Illuminations World Podcast. If you liked the episode, please subscribe, share it with your friends, and pass on the love and light. Until next time, take care, see you soon, and live light. Thanks for tuning in to the Illuminations Podcast. We love having you here. It is our mission to be a beacon of light on your journey towards conscious and mindful living. In our weekly episode, we bring you inspiring change makers in the field of spirituality, healing, personal growth, and wellness who share their insight and expertise so you can navigate your way to a happier, healthier, and more purposeful life.